Oh, we're starting? Okay.
Yeah.
Here we go!
Welcome to the Louchen Bros podcast. This show is hosted by Brian Louchen
And Kevin Louchen!
And we're bros who talk about nerd stuff.
Hey, we got a fan favorite from Kevin Louchen today. This is one of my all-time favorite movies today. It is Killer Klowns from Outer Space. So, a brief kind of summary of the movie. Basically, a bunch of a small town is visited by space alien circus tent, lands, and inside this tent is a bunch of murderous clowns. And they come into the town and they take the people up, and they end up drinking their blood. It's not exactly spelled out, but it is what it is. I'm not sure if they eat them in general, but they definitely drink their blood. In this process, there's a few townspeople that are like, hey, they're coming to get us. They're going to take our jobs. That's a South Park reference. Anyways, so they end up having them get attacked. Or let me rephrase that. The townspeople go and try to stop the circus people, the clowns, and they end up stopping them and then destroying them, and the world is a better place, I guess, as far as that goes. That is it in a nutshell. Maybe it's a bad nutshell, but that's it in a nutshell, and I'm definitely not doing the movie justice, but it's still, I am going to be biased as hell this whole movie, just to be fair, and I am okay with that. Brian, go ahead. Take it over.
All right, get ready and buckle up because Kevin's ready to go. Okay, so I'll be honest, Kevin, I only saw parts of this movie back in the day when I was younger. I wasn't, a big fan like you were, but rewatching this movie in full, this movie was a perfect blend of silliness and murder as far as that's concerned. And I don't know if it was all the townspeople, but it was mainly Mike and Debbie that was basically coming to the rescue and then getting the cops help. What's his name?
Dave.
Officer.
I call him Deputy Dave. I don't know if he was a deputy.
Dave Hansen. So,
and the Terenzi brothers. Come on.
Yeah, that Terenzi brothers, which I have a fun quote from you later as far as the ice cream truck.
Yes, I think I know. Do you remember? Okay, so this throwback to history. Do you remember how much I love this movie? Do you remember?
You had a shirt at one point. Do you still have it?
We took pictures. There was a summer, I think I was probably, I don't remember when, it was probably between their ages of 8 and 12, whatever. I know, kids weren't supposed to watch things. I did. I'm relatively okay as an adult, but I watched that movie, and this is when you had to rent it, VHS. We would go to Premiere Video, right?
Premiere Video. Shout out. Right. Is this where you first got exposed to the movie, Kevin?
Yes.
Okay, I'll let you finish this. I never heard this story.
So for kids, maybe some of the adults, this is throwback. When you used to go to a video store, you would walk around these aisles and shelves that had the basically the video cover there, and then the video was behind it, and sometimes they had multiples, and that's what it was. So this is one of those things where you walk around, you see the video. You didn't always see commercials. So if you saw some of the low-key movies, which this was, then you'd see it. And I'd seen it, and I rented and I wanted it. And, at this point, I'd already seen some other R videos. But, I was relatively a good kid. We watched them all together. Like I said, I'm a semi-normal human. That sounds like I'm a lizard person now. But we rented it, and I fell absolutely in love with it. Like I said, I was probably between 8 and 10. I don't really remember. I literally watched it almost every day for one whole summer. I had mom, you had to go back with the movie, re-rent it, and then take it back home. I had mom do that multiple times. It was my absolute favorite movie for a whole summer. I've probably watched this movie more than most people have watched any movie in their life. And I still watch it to this day because I absolutely love it.
I want to do a barometer check, Kevin. Have you seen this movie or Star Wars more?
Oh, this movie. I've probably watched this movie more than, not every movie, because I've watched a lot of movies. This is definitely the movie I've watched the most out of any movie multiple times.
Okay, I did not know
this movie, and it all dates back to when I was younger, because I watched it so much. Next is probably like Predator, but it's like probably fivefold I've watched this movie more. Like that is how ridiculous I've done. Anyways, so I love this movie. I think if you said it right. It's a good mix of horror and kind of silly comedy stuff, but it's all themed around clowns. I don't have a huge fascination with clowns. I just think everything about this epitomized what a great, as you might call a B movie, hits. And that is why it is a cult classic, and it has had things come out like video games just recently in the last few years.
I actually was going to talk about that later.
And there has been talk so much over the years of a sequel and trying to do more things. So if you're familiar, you're not. So I will first get into the thing I think that draws me in the most. It's a lot of the circus elements that are made to be funny and a view that as a murderous clown would do. So some of the things is, one of the first things you see is one of the clown builds a dog out of a balloon and then uses this dog as a tracking dog to go get somebody. Like, it is so dumb. It is amazing. It made me laugh as a kid and not even realize that they were murdering people. Like, that was, I think, a part that maybe makes me twisted. They had cotton candy cocoons for people, which was weird, and it was like, but it was just cotton candy, so like it kind of, maybe it desensitized it. There's a shadow puppet scene where the guy's doing like shadow puppets. Okay, all right, total crazy. I gotta go down this one. This could all
fall under visuals too, by the way.
Well, it is what it is. But this part is not just visuals. Okay, so in the shadow puppet, and I'm gonna get into this scene, Bunny. Then he uses an elephant. And here is where it gets... I didn't notice this until this week when I rewatched this, okay? This is really weird to me. So I got into, like, Googling, that kind of
rabbit hole
of a dark tunnel, right? And what you notice is this isn't... The Killer Klowns aren't in any sort of universe. It's like an own thing. There's no real history or background to the characters. There's nothing really there. Except this was unintentional, but done so they could play with this idea. The next puppet scene is Washington crossing the Delaware, which was really weird at the time. And they're like, that is so weird. That's crazy to do that with just these big ass fat fingers that the guy's got. But that's the thing is, how would a killer clown know about Washington and crossing the Delaware? You're either were there or around that time period, you've seen arts and or media, or you just understand history and humans, which means in theory they've been around a long time or have close contact, which we're going to go down this rabbit hole right now. So
maybe they were just predators.
Probably not. But so one of the elements in this story is the popcorn. The popcorn ends up being what they've said is like a larval form of the clowns, which is really weird. Like I said, they're an alien, species. And so it's like, okay, that's weird. How does it go from that to that? They're almost like a snake-like projection at some point. But what happens is, say they grow up and whatnot. And then, of course, there's like almost a queen bee with the, as the character's called, Clownzilla. It's the giant one. And so there's a hierarchy, there's an establishment, which is fine. But my point is they showed a time period where there was female clowns, which you don't even remember. It's a short one, and it was always funny because there was two of them, and they were in a ball pit, and one of them's breasts grow bigger. It was so dumb. And I just remember, like, what the heck is that? But they look like clowns, so they're not really attractive.
I remember the ball pits, just not the breasts growing.
Yeah, well, there's only one of them. It was always dumb scene because the Terenzi brothers, they're freaking thirsty the whole movie, and so this played into their character arcs, right? But the thing about it is, you start looking, why do they take cocoons and make people like these cotton elements And yet there was the one girl, Debbie, the main character, that didn't get cocooned. She got put in a ball. And it was this weird ball, and you're like, what's the difference? So as I was reading this, and as I go down this rabbit hole, what it seems like is it's possible that these aliens are actually humans at one point. Or they're potentially. Now, this isn't in the movie. This is going way. Like I said, I'm down a rabbit hole at this point.
This is some lore right here.
Like, this
drop.
is down the. And so what happens is the reason why they put the woman Debbie in the balloon is because there's potential that they make the women of the human species into the clowns. But it's not the men, which, like I said, it's a real deep dive. I don't know. To me, there's a lot of unknown. They left, obviously, the design wasn't to get this deep thought into the character, the development of the clowns and their backstory. But like when you see why did they put the female in the balloon and not, it does make you wonder.
I thought the clowns were asexual, Kevin.
Well, if you have a female and a male clown, then you're not asexual, right? So that is not an element that's there. So biologically speaking, they have at least two. You see the woman caught, but the others are cocooned. The point being is they were doing something special with Debbie by putting her in a balloon, because there's a lot less balloons. Even in the room where they have the cocoons, there's a lot less of them than they are of the cotton candy. So there's an element there that if you really want to go down a deep thing, there's so much they could have built into this. Now, I didn't play the video game just because I don't like people, so I don't like playing video games socially anymore.
So they were the perfect specimens.
So it is one of those cases where maybe they explored this content a little bit more there. I don't think there was a comic, but I don't remember. I didn't get into that. But like, I don't know that there's a whole lot of lore out there, but it was just one of those things that's interesting where you see this Washington thing, you see this woman and the aspect about being separated, and you're like, there's probably more of a human tie to this that we're unaware of. So it's interesting to see that. How do you know how to make a dinosaur? How do you know to be an alien species of circus and clowns and have those elements of that? It's kind of a crazy idea when you really think about it, which I didn't even think about till an adult, and that's not why I love this movie. But I'm totally off the rails with some of this right now.
I don't think they're necessarily predators where they necessarily have a long lifespan, but maybe they do read thoughts, which is why they know in the Washington theory. You know what I mean?
But why are they clowns? But why are they clowns even?
I don't know. That was the part of the story I didn't like, that they were just fucking random ass clowns.
It's just random alien clowns. And so,
like, why this fucking alien clown?
So that's the point, is there at this time, this is 1988 movie. There's no reason to have it. It just is, right? That's how things are. You don't always make a backstory. You just make the story and then worry about that later. Freddy and Jason weren't overly worried about their backstory. Crazy. Texas Roadhouse. Texas Road. That's a good. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Like, you saw elements of it, but they didn't really get, like, some of these horror movies back then. They didn't care. It was, and especially this one didn't have the notoriety because it was more sci-fi than it was more pure horror. Like, they were just going for something kind of goofy but horror-esque. So I don't think they worried about this, like, the true story and plot background. It was just more or less, clowns that fucking murder people would be kind of a cool idea from space.
And I think that's what it is. Some fun one-liners, because some of these one-liners from Farmer Gene Green and Curtis Mooney were fucking hilarious, Kevin. What in tarnation is going on here?
Oh, yes. That was probably one of my favorite. Like, they played on the stereotypes of what it was back then.
Oh, my God.
Like crazy. The cops, the college kids hanging out in the kissing in the back of vans and stuff like that. Or not vans, but cars and stuff, trying to hook up. They played on the punk, or more like goth kind of guy, walking with the park with his friend. Just stereotypical young cop. Like, they had all elements of the above. Like, it was, like I said, stereotype city, but that was a lot of what the 80s was.
I 100% agree. I made it through Korea. I can make it through this bullshit. Killer clowns from outer space. Holy shit.
Everyone's against me.
And one of my favorite lines was towards the end of the movie with the security guard. What are you going to do with those pies, boys?
Yes. So I will try to cover some more of the elements with the visuals shortly thereafter. But yeah, the story itself is not. It is very full. What? It's not foolproof. What's the opposite of foolproof? It's got holes everywhere. The plot's got holes everywhere as far as the story and background. But it's not meant to be. You want to take it at face value. It's entertainment by clowns, but on a murderous, goofy side. And I think if you can see that and just be entertained at face value, then, if you're a 10-year-old boy like I was watching this movie, you'll probably like it. And if you're looking for high comedic acting at this age, you're definitely not going to be happy as far as that goes.
So, opposite of foolproof, Kevin, flawed would have been, or imperfect?
God, I'm an idiot. I know. Flawed. It's very flawed, yes. So, there you go. You got other stuff on this?
I mean, this is your favorite movie, so I don't want to...
It's not my favorite. It's one of my favorites.
One of your favorite movies. Like I said, it was just... I mean, the story itself, I thought was fine, but the fact that they're alien clowns, but again, they're also trying to survive, so I'm just like...
The thing is, like, you don't know why there are alien clowns. Like, what the fuck are alien clowns? Like, what is happening? But if you can get past that, the movie itself, for having a lackluster of a real developing plot and character arcs, for the most part, it is entertaining. It is interesting. It is a twist, and for that element, I definitely like it as far as that goes.
All right, are we want to rate this bitch, Kevin?
Yeah, I don't have a lot in the story because there's not really much to do. It's all the other stuff I'll get into. All right, so you want to rate it?
Yeah.
So even me, I'm just going barely positive for a story. It's not crazy good.
You copied me, Kev. I was going a little...
just barely good. Like
it's a step above mid.
Yeah, it's just barely good. It's storyline. I won't deny that. So all right, but let's move forward to characters. The main human characters aren't too crazy. There's no real big names, except the only person. So I think Officer Mooney or Sheriff Mooney, I don't know what it's Curtis. And
Officer Curtis Mooney.
Yeah. So he I think was a big time actor, but this was back in the 80s, and so I don't know much of his history. Outside of that, the only person that ended up having any sort of substantialness to my life was a very small role side character, and that actor is more comedian Christopher Titus. I'm familiar with him, and I have a bunch of his stand-up performances, but ultimately this is not a star-studded cast by any means as far as that goes. I think the characters Mike and Debbie are the main characters, with tied in there with Deputy Dave, and then the Terenzi brothers. Everything else, the sheriff is a big character too. He just doesn't lead the march against the clowns, and he ends up passing away. Outside of that, every other character is a side character and kind of not irrelevant because you need them, but they don't play a major role at all.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit it with the head when you spoke earlier, Kev, is in regards to stereotypes, like the farmer Gene.
Yes.
Gene Green. He was just a typical redneck, and it was
typical.
So
what incarnations is going on here? It was literally sounding like that.
Where's my dog?
Where's my dog?
Where's
my dog? Like it was very much that. The one emo kid with the kind of, I don't know if he was supposed to be like goth. Yeah, early goths is what I would definitely call him. And then he was with another guy. I don't know if he was supposed to be a punk or like just maybe a.
Are you talking about the little gang they were in?
No, the guy, the two guys that were going into jail. The one guy had like black makeup on, so he looked very goth, and the other guy with him almost looked like maybe he was a stoner or something like that look. But they were very stereotypes, punks, as the sheriff was saying. But they really weren't doing anything. They were just a small town, and that was an old school sheriff that didn't like anything that didn't fit his MO.
Oh yeah, Officer Mooney was like fucking kids in town. He didn't believe fucking any of them until there was a clown that showed up in the goddamn police office.
And he didn't even think they were that big of a deal. Even the doctor that was at the drugstore, he looked very stereotypical of an old.
Dude, the clowns are tearing up his fucking grocery store. He's like, what the fuck?
So yeah, the characters. I guess you get a little bit of an arc maybe from Deputy Dave, who seems to have been going through something with maybe Debbie at one point, and then he's moved on, and he's like he arrests Mike for a little bit, and then he actually believes him, so he gets that. But outside of that, the Terenzi brothers were just trying to get laid the whole time, and apparently do by clowns.
So I think Kevin's a little confused because this didn't take place in the Wild Wild West. They're not a sheriff and deputy.
I am using sheriff and deputy.
They're both officers.
I told you I'm calling it Deputy Dave and Sheriff Mooney. Those are the terms I'm using.
Kevin's being abducted by clowns over here.
We have sheriffs here. You don't have to be in the Wild West to be a sheriff, Brian. Jesus, get with it. No. I am using those terms, but they are not by any way called that. Deputy is underneath the sheriff. Mooney's that. Dave is that. I like Deputy Dave. That's what I'm going with.
All right, that's fine. Back to the Terenzi brothers. So I don't know if this is said by Paul or not, or if it was just the ice cream clown, but I just thought it was really funny, and I wanted to circle back with the quotes. As it says, I'm JoJo the ice cream clown. We'll give you a stick. We'll give you'll give it a lick, and I'll tickle you all the way down. Ice cream, ice cream. We brought our goodies here to you. A tasty treat for while you screw. Let's take a break. Cool off those hot lips with our frozen fruity bars. Icy, wicey, fudgy bars, and everyone's frozen delight. The lick-a-stick. Like, what the fuck?
That is literally the opening scene of those characters. So what's happening is this is at like one of those places, classic, where it's like where all the cars line up and people would make out, like the makeup spots back in the day. And they show up, which seemingly is at least after 10 p.m. with an ice cream truck trying to sell ice cream to, at minimum, adults, maybe 21 or older, but they're like college kids, and he's trying to sell ice cream. And like, what the fuck is going on? It's so dumb. But of course, it's got a clown head, and that's when he says those lines. So their introduction is just a little wacky to begin with. But yeah, and then they have two chicks in the van or the truck with them trying to make out, and then the chicks are like, "What do you think we are, easy or something like that?"
Yes,
it's so bad. I love it. So the characters, once again, they aren't the exciting part. The clowns are the exciting part, and I wrote down some names that aren't. The names are not said at any point in the movie. I just really wanted to learn some of their names, so I started looking.
Lord.
So Clownzilla is the boss, the head, and he's the one you see at the end. But these are some of the names that were stated. You have Jumbo, Fatso, Shorty, Rudy, Spike, Slim, Bebo, Chubby, Frank, Joe, Majori, Storefront. What the Talls, Rosebud, and Daisy. These were some of the names. There's a lot of clowns. I don't know if this is even all of them. So they had some main ones. Like the short guy was one of the main ones who literally knocked some guy's head off.
Kev, I don't know if you just made up these names
or
if you found them, but I would believe you either way because they seemed believable. Some sound like real names and some are just whimsical, which is hilarious.
Which ties to kind of circus characters, right? Those are all circus. Talls is hilarious to me. Like, that's so weird.
But Bebo or whatever.
It was Bibbo. Bibbo. I like Bebo.
Pinky Winky and whatever the fuck his name is.
So those are some of the clown names, which you don't associate them necessarily to a clown look, but all the clowns have a very distinct look. You can't mix it up as far as that goes. So I think they are kind of interesting to see, and I like it. It's just entertaining to me. So as far as the characters go, there's not a whole lot there. And once again, I distinguish the human characters from the clowns. The clowns are really cool. They are what intrigued me. Their looks, personalities are a little different. And that's the crazy thing is like they almost had no lines. There actually was some lines. And at some point, I can only understand one line, and it's when the short guy, assumingly called Shorty, although Talls would be hilarious too if that was his name, but I'm assuming the Shorty, he is fighting this one guy in the biker gang, and the guy destroys his bike, and I can distinctly hear him say, "Put him up, put him up," and he goes like that, and he wants to box him. They're supposed to kind of speak English. Or some variation of it, apparently, but you can barely understand them. They almost sound like a high-pitched squeaking, and I think that was by design. Like, they wanted them to have a language form, but not, I don't think, be audible so much as far as that goes.
You know what's funny, since you've already mentioned it a couple times, Kevin, about the video game? So I watched, 30 minutes of gameplay, and as the clown is walking around as you're playing him, he has the clown squeaky shoes the whole fucking time. I was like, what the fuck?
Some of this stuff is so easy to make fun. Not make fun of, but make fun in light of, because it's just so dumb and silly, and that's the best part about it, is it can be that. So that's what I love about it.
What I love about it, too, is if you have anything clown-related that you're trying to get inspiration from, this movie hits it to a T in so many fucking elements. It's crazy.
So yeah, character-wise, that's about it. There's really not more to get into. So I think I'm gonna probably spend more time on the visuals. But so as far as this, I don't have any more to cover on characters unless you want to cover anything. All right. So once again, slightly above, and that's mostly because of the clowns, not even the people.
You know, I'm going thumbs up on this. I think the casting was fine for all the roles that they actually did, and the acting with the clowns and stuff.
Actually, I thought Mike did a really, really good job. His character was pretty spot on and believable.
And this has become such a cult classic movie. I don't think they needed any star power even for its time for being this B movie. They had no-name actors, but they all did its job what they were intended to. The officers doing the officing, the townspeople, the farmer, the clowns.
Did you just say the officers doing the officing?
Officer thing. My God. Moving on to sound and music, Kevin's favorite character. It wasn't even that funny.
I thought you said officing, and it just
officing. No, officing. Oh my Lord! You're so
all right. Officers doing officing. I like that.
The officer thing, Kevin. Sorry I didn't pronunciate clearly.
No, it's okay. I like it the way I heard it.
Officer.
All right. So we'll move forward to the sound and music element. All right. This one, Brian, you're going to be a little surprised.
Oh my God, are you going to read it good?
Brian's going to be a little surprised.
Let's fucking go right now.
So first off, big thing for me when it comes to sound and elements is theme songs. You got your own theme song. They have their own theme song, and it is mostly focal pointed in the beginning in an introduction where you can hear like them. I don't remember the band or whatever, but yeah, that was a huge thing.
Was it the Dickies?
Yes, the Dickies. Yes, the Dickies. Just like the pants, the Dickies. That's a huge bonus. It doesn't have to always be great, but you have your own. This one actually was decent. Now, I still think so far from stuff we've talked about, Howard the Ducks one, it might be top tier for me, but this one was pretty solid. It's you want to know what it is if you listen to it, it's the guitar ding 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 ding, like it kind of plays that, you know, ding 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 ding, like the clown noise. So I think that is in it as a guitar, and it sounds actually pretty cool. So I was like, man, you know what, I had never even thought about it. I got to download that so I can put it on, and it's be pretty sweet. Anyways, so that is a huge element. A lot of the art display of the scenes. Once you get past the beginning and don't count the end, a lot of the middle, which is the beef of the movie, is actually films a lot of short scenes. And I think it's very crucial to how this is done and what plays out to be amazing for me. And so what happens is, how do you squeeze a lot of circus and clown elements into a movie and make it entertaining but twisted, right, in a horror aspect. And that's what they do, is they take a lot of these clown elements and put them in short clips, and that's how they add it in. Like I said, the dog, the balloon dog getting chased in there, and that scene. So in these scenes, if you listen, and sometimes it's hard not to listen, but you can always hear usually music that is accompanying it. And like when I consider music, I consider more that element, because I don't always care about the soundtrack. But in between scenes, the sound element doesn't match. Like Signs is the lack of sound, and that actually stands out. This is this thing where in between scenes, all these short scenes have these little guitars and pianos, and it's got I can't describe it other than it has a circus sound to it. Maybe some high pitches twisted in there, and it just fits so well. And kind of like this, if you would just cut these up as shorts, you could totally do that with a bulk of the meat of the movie, and that it hits so different. And this is something I didn't care about as a kid, but as an adult watching it, you're like, oh my god, this plays so good in there, and I didn't even realize it. Maybe it was almost subconsciously that I took it in, and I'm like, and that's an element I love, but I paid attention to it. I'm like, oh my god, I can hear this. I'm like, this is awesome. This is hilarious, or this fits so good, because there's a couple of those scenes, even though they all like are capturing people or killing people or whatever they're doing, like it doesn't always fit when they first start it, because they're trying to the clowns are luring them into almost a false sense of security in a lot of the ways before they kill them or capture them. And so what happens is you don't see that, you see them in the end kind of laughing maniacally a lot, but there's the one scene where the one guy the one clown has got a big old sledgehammer like thing behind his back, and was looking to get a little girl, thinking that he was going to hit her in the head, but the mom comes out and grabs the little girl, and after she goes inside with him, at this point they're not trying to take over the town, they're just one by one introducing, and trying to get people, and you could see the clown get really unhappy, and that was one of the few moments you can actually see him like upset of any kind, and like that was just a little character display that, like, a lot of times clowns are happy, or at least in this movie. They do have sad clowns in history and whatnot, but in this movie a lot of them are portrayed as happy and having fun and whatnot. So that scene is so iconic, of just little things just tied together over and over with these shorts, and so the music just comes in. I was surprised at how much it was like hitting home with me, Brian, and you know how much I love my music as far as that goes.
Yeah, no, we know how you love your music, Kev. So I have good and bad as far as sound and music with the movie. So as far as the title song by the Dickies, I actually didn't care for it, because I feel like the punk rock of it didn't fit the theme and the vibe at all of the actual movie. However, the actual main soundtrack by John Massari was fucking phenomenal. Like, the Killer Clown March was fucking wild on the synthesizer, and it was just like, you always hear the traditional from the fucking Big Top shit, and then they had, like, as Kevin mentioned, the different scenes had different musical aspects of it, in the amusement park, in the fun house, in the clown cathedral, and they have all different sounds like that in each of those different scenes that are different as well, but you can also tell with the sounds and elements of that they actually fit the clown story. And that's why this movie, like I said, is such an inspiration for anything clown themed. Like, you can go back to this movie and pull any fucking element from it.
I mean, the clown noises themselves too, when they did make noises, like I said, they're talking, like the Shorty, I'm gonna assume at this point, Shorty, he's like, what if you do? What if you do? It's like super but then the other ones are like, blah, 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 blah. Like, the noises are like kind of interesting, and they're different, and they fit a character. At least in this, not in, unlike the video game, you don't really hear anybody's like honk noise when they slap their feet and what like that. But in general, it is pretty freaking entertaining to see a lot of the things they do. They have a popcorn gun and a ray gun, and the noises kind of match like that. The popcorn gun, like, it's got this weird it's like a scene traveling and stuff like that. I don't know. it was good. Like I said, the music itself was fitting scenes, and when it was there, it was adding to the element, not just there or background noise, which is hard to do in my opinion. And they were doing it well, and it was all themed to fit the awesome circus element. And yeah, I was somehow pleasantly surprised, even as an adult, in watching this movie probably 60 plus times.
And that's what you want. You want the music to set the scene, to set the mood, to set the mood, set the tone of the actual movie, to add that value to it and not take away. In some senses, depending on it, you want it to be kind of a background, noise, that sort of thing. But again, when you're upping the anticipation, or again having that whimsical sound before again drawing them in and killing them, it was just a perfect setup. So yeah, I was very impressed for its time, for sure.
All right, so you want to rate this bad boy? All right,
I'm ready to rate. I'm going thumbs up. 100%.
Oh, your boy Kevin's also getting a thumbs up, which is a rarity these days for this one. So yeah, it was amazing as far as that goes.
Yeah, and like I said, even though I didn't necessarily care for the vibe and the theme for the Dickies aspect of it, the actual soundtrack overall, like you mentioned, Kevin, the sound effects would have outweighed the positive, outweighed the negative for sure. So let's move on to our special effects wardrobe, the fun part you were looking for.
I hope you got enough time.
Oh my God.
This is what this movie is. This is 1,000% what this movie is. It is visual, because the word clown gives a visual, right? This is it. This is 1,000% it. So,
Clown with a K, Kev.
Clown with a K. That's correct. Killer Klowns. So, as I mentioned, one of the first things you see visually is a shooting star, right? Like, that's okay. It is what it is. You don't have to have crazy. And then it lands, and then that's when you see the circus. And so you first see some elements of that, and you're like, oh, this is kind of weird. But like the whole tent is lit up like a tent I've never seen lit up. So it just gives a weird vibe, which is fine. But then all of a sudden, the Mike and Debbie, they're not the first people to see it. The what in Dardations, the guy shows up, but there's not much to see there. But Mike and Debbie show up, and they end up walking in the tent and seeing some of the hallways. The visuals of that, like, it wasn't just a straight hallway. It was like angled and weird. It was patterned funny. It literally had mishmash of colors like a clown would be. The doors themselves, like, they had these weird push buttons, but the door was like cylinder, and so it was open or it was closed first. They'd hit the button and turn. You'd go into it and turn, like. That was just so alien-like, so different, so clown.
That reminded me of them like Spaceballs shit or Star Trek.
Yes, very Spaceballs-esque. I think there's stuff like that there. So it had a fun thing to that. Then they go in this room and you see the cotton candy hanging, and like, so there were a couple scenes where the special effects weren't when it had like a more of a bigger landscape scene or a big view. That was one of them where the background looked a little hazy, but it was the 80s, so it is what it is. But so they were in there. The cotton candy people looked cool. Like when they were in the cocoons, they had this like this giant machine where
the cotton candy
machine. But it basically looked like, that game where you put a quarter in and the light goes around and you have to try to stop it in the middle, get a crazy. It looked like that machine, but that's what the popcorn was in the middle. It was like a big glass dome, and they were just bouncing around. The popcorn was, yeah. So that was kind of cool to see. The cotton candy was like hanging on almost like hooks, almost like deer meat or beef would be. So there was an element of that like, if you didn't know right away, that's what was going to happen. So that was super interesting. The first element, and then all of a sudden, once they realized kind of what was going on, they're going to get the heck out of there. They got cocoons because they see a person and stuff like that. So they get out of there, and that's when they get chased by the clowns, and they do the balloon dog, and that was hilarious. You got to remember, these clowns have large feet. So when they run, they got like that hopping walk. Like, it is hilarious. And they don't really run at all. But like, it was making me laugh a lot. The shadow puppets. Please stop me, because I'm going to keep going if you need to jump in.
So you've already touched on a lot of good elements. These special effects were freaking wild and amazing. So the dog-based balloon animal, you mentioned that a couple times, Kevin. It actually was coated in latex by the special effects department to actually keep it from popping on the pine needles that were all over the ground.
That makes sense.
That was actually kind of awesome. The popcorn gun was the most expensive prop in the movie for production, costing $7,000 to create and took 6 weeks to build. And it included a compressor that would allow the weapon to actually propel the popcorn out. So I thought that was actually pretty cool. I do like, Kevin mentioned kind of the shadow puppets show and where they eats the group. That was a cool visual. I even liked the shadow when they were actually... the clown was behind the circus tent as the farmer was looking for his dog, and he was like following him and shit.
Yes.
I thought that was a really cool element. The electric ball thing where it looked like they were inside a missile silo.
Yeah, it was almost like
inside the circus tent. That
like
was really
Star
cool.
Wars-esque, getting to the thermal generator or whatever it was. It was, those balls where you touch your fingers on them and it looked like that.
Yes,
and it was supposed to be like the power core of the tent. Yeah.
Yeah. Some other interesting visuals were the clowns delivering pizzas and shit, and they open up and
the head
freaking
comes out.
Exactly. Again, I mentioned the destroying of the grocery store, and the clerk was just like, "What the fuck's going on?" They had like a fucking parade, and they were sucking up the cocoons, and stuff like that, which was wild. Kevin mentioned where the popcorn kernels turn into like the clown snakes, and I think that you mentioned '88. I think that came out a year before Beetlejuice, which it seemed like the snake had inspiration.
Very similar.
From that, from probably the actual movie. You also had near the end of the movie all the clowns coming out of the clown car, which you actually hear about. There's like 50 of them coming out of there, and then again they all throw the acidic pies at the cop, and he basically dies, and it's a pile. It looks like a goddamn sundae on the actual ground. So those were definitely some awesome elements. The Chiodo brothers, which I think who actually wrote it, they actually personally constructed the miniature set for Clownzilla at the end scene, which I thought was actually cool. And he was also originally intended to be created with stop motion. However, it was actually in a creature shoot, which didn't look like it. That thing looked fucking huge. It seemed like 12 or 20 feet tall. I don't know.
No, it was like 25, 30 feet tall.
Yeah,
it was huge.
Because
it was holding people.
Yeah.
It was holding people.
And something which I also really thought in regards to like the costumes for the clowns, there was 4 molds made for the main clown's heads. One was peanut shaped, another was triangular, another circular, and the final shape was an inverted triangle. And from those 4, they basically made pairs of specific clowns each, and then Clownzilla had its own like mold, which I thought was really cool. One awesome aspect I found out, Kev, is 2 of the masks that were used for the clowns in the film were allegedly repurposed and used to portray the trolls in Ernest Scared Stupid. I was like, what?
I think I could see that for sure. So, yeah. Oh, I got more. I was just like,
No, okay. That's all I got.
So, I don't think this is one of the best examples of a movie where using like animatronics and skin mask is way better than CGI. If you look at those clown masks, did they not look so good and realistic? Even the movements were okay, maybe subtly off, but that had more real look to it than CGI would ever gonna make. I don't care what anybody says, you won't convince me otherwise. They looked so good, and the movements you would not replicate it because they'd probably make them running for real. And like I said, how do you replicate that in a CGI as well as when you have a real person having to lift the feet up like that? That's what would be lost. Stuff like that. That's why I prefer an animatronic or real costume, and then just supplemented with CGI for crisping up the looks.
I just had a thought, Kev, with animatronics. Have you seen the Five Nights at Freddy's movie?
I did not watch the new ones yet.
We'll have to put that on our list because I'm curious to see how you think of their animatronics.
They are literally supposed to be animatronics, right? So yeah, that would be an interesting element. I mean, if that's not a Chuck E. Cheese terrorist show, I mean, what is? That's what it basically is based off of. So that was a huge element. Like I said, there were only a couple scenes where you could see like the graphics look kind of off. The one where you see the thermal generator kind of scene, it was one of them. Towards the end of the movie where they're walking through they had like these background designs of like animals or maybe dinosaurs, and it reminded me of Pee-wee Herman. That's a weird throwback if you can connect the dots, but there was an element of that from one of his movies. But the only other time that the graphics kind of looked bad, but the concept was awesome, is one scene where there's an invisible car. Okay, so the clown, at this point in the movie, it's in the middle where the clowns are just kind of introducing themselves to the clowns people, slowly going one by one, and it's just progressing into where Brian says they're literally the cocoon people. They're starting to collect and they're getting ready to assumingly leave at some point. So one of the scenes is a guy who's driving an old like Chevy kind of car, a box car. That's what it looks like. And the clown is literally like floating in the air, and there's like just two headlights, and it's just going like this, driving, and it is hilarious. Now the graphics look bad. They do kind of look bad in one of the scenes as they're trying to show him coming down the road side by side. But when you see them next to each other, he's like ramming it with an invisible car. And like, it's just so clown. It's so circus. It's so stupid. It's fun and funny. So I thought that was really good. Clownzilla, little details. I don't know if it was accidental or not. The Clownzilla came out and was like pulled up and then carried. But if you look at the body, it is being hung by wires like a puppet, like a clown would be. And then it detaches, and then Clownzilla comes alive. That to me is such little detail that does play such a huge thing you don't think about. And it's so good because, yeah, if you're a puppet and then you're alive, that you'd have strings. And then, so I think that was so well done. Clownzilla looks so good. I loved it. The popcorn was a unique element. Throughout the whole movie, the ray guns were unique. The clown death itself, so something we didn't really get into. Their basic only seeming flaw, critical point was their nose. So they didn't, you couldn't squeeze their nose and go honk honk like you would with normal clowns, but they had to make a flaw to them, and they made it their nose. And so it's kind of like almost a tough glass ball that if it's popped at some point, they then die. They turn into like a green emerald like diamond, spin and explode into like glitter. It's like a fucking glitter bomb, and it's so that looked really good. And even when Clownzilla dies, it looked really good. Although in that case, the whole thing was going down as you see the circus tent lift and go up. It almost looks like a spin top, like the ship. I do, and then it blows up. So it's like, there are so many good visual elements, and I cannot stress, I think the clown faces were so fucking good. They were so good. And that's the thing, is this is still the 80s. You would think something like this could have been done within the last few years. This was 30 years ago. It was so good, and I think that only added to me feeling like it was, I don't want to say realistic, but it felt like it could be real. Like, you know what I mean?
If it was done today, Kevin, it would have been done CGI. It would have. It probably would have looked like shit.
It would have. I agree. And it would have looked terrible, and it would look dumb. Like, to try to think of something that could have been done more recent, but in a similar element. I don't know if it was all makeup or they used some sort of plastiques or whatever, but the orcs from Lord of the Rings is the first thing that comes to mind. They had a lot of look like that, but I would imagine they didn't cover them with a just giant head and a mask, right? So I think to have a whole mask element like that, and I do believe they had two forms of mask. One did the talking, and one did like some of the other movements and stuff like that. So either way, you still use the mask to be so lifelike, and they gave them real personalities for animals or creatures that didn't even say anything barely at all. It it really brought the whole movie together to see that. And there's a scene where it's like it sounds like a horn and it turns into music, and all it is a bunch of the clowns that goes dun 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 dun. And they're just walking up a street as they're starting to show the clowns going down. And it's just like, that was the music. That was the scene. That was just the clowns walking, being the clowns. It just added to the idea and the concept of like, this is so,
If they were going to bring the clowns in today's generation, like I said, they could ruin it with CGI.
Oh, they would.
However, if they did it like Dark Crystal did, so Dark Crystal graphics back in the 80s and stuff like that with the Skeksis, when they brought back the TV show, The Age of Resistance on Netflix, that was puppetry with CGI done at perfection, Kevin.
I agree.
So if they did the clowns in that aspect, then they would fucking kill it. But again, that all goes back to the producer and the directors and making sure they do it right and do it justice.
So I think, since you touched up on about it, I would like to touch it. Dark Crystal, if you watch the new season that came out, has already been canceled. Now, I don't think it was canceled due to look of visuals, because if you said it, the visuals were spot on. Using puppetry, like animatronics, whatever, that was spot on. The look wasn't the issue. Guess what the issue was? People didn't like the story so much. Maybe it was also that it wasn't a hit because the crowd that it was going for, I don't know, was kids anymore. It was almost maybe the adults that grew up. And I don't think there was an interest with a lot of the kids that did like it. I was interested. I watched it. I wasn't as interested in it. The storyline, I don't know. Puppets as adults don't have the same kind of element. And they were almost that. So I still watched it, but it didn't seem to resonate in the same as a youth. Maybe it's my age, I don't know, but the look wise was still, as you said, spot on. Like I said, you use the costumes and just crisp it up, make it look a little spicier with the CGI.
Hybrid of the CGI, using it as adding to the creature and puppetry and stuff like that, where Star Wars still does that. But again, they don't have the main focus of the puppetry and the story like Dark Crystal.
Obviously.
But we're not talking about Dark Crystal. We're just kind of mentioning the puppetry.
Circling back to Killer Klowns, if you were to try to reutilize, like I said, there's been lots of talks about doing a sequel for decades. Why? Because I've been following it for decades in case they did, and that was an interest of mine. And the thing is, they talked about a story multiple times and trying to take different perspectives. I just think the main focus, obviously, to do a sequel, I think you have to build upon the story. So they would have to try to figure out more of that, which may or may not be a big thing. Because when you have a movie that's successful with almost kind of a lack of a story, it's more about the characters themselves. You might want to focus on that. But if you make the characters look bad or do something dumb with CGI, you might even ruin that. So if they come back, I would expect them, if they stuck to how the original was done, they could have success even with a not great storyline, but I would expect them to expand on it regardless.
So I think that kind of bleeds into the legacy and the rewatchability. So I think you ready to wrap up?
Let's
visuals,
go ahead, visuals.
Kevin? All right, I think this is a no-brainer. Thumbs up,
dude.
Kevin.
No, I'm getting two. This was my childhood. I told you.
I'll do two as well.
I'm not being objective. This is right in the feels. This is 2 thumbs up for me. This sold it for me. I think as a kid, just everything about it just added together was a visual effect, and like I said, you're not watching this movie for the plot line.
That's for true. But I mean, again, we'll move on to the emotional connection, rewatchability, the legacy of it all.
I'm the wrong person to ask.
So this film is considered a cult classic. Rotten Tomatoes has an average score of 79%. Killer Klowns from Outer Space title promises darkly goofy fun, and more often than not, the movie delivers. So Kevin would certainly agree with that.
Duh.
Leonard Kalady of the Los Angeles Times wrote, "The film demonstrates both above average technical skill and large dollops of imagination." Well said. Charles Webb of MTV.com calls the performance a little rough, which, again, if you go by the story, But Killer Klowns isn't especially scary. It's only kind of funny, but still gets on by the execution of extremely inventive visuals based on the clown circus motif.
Yes.
JoeBlow.com gave the film a rating of 8 out of 10, stating the film is the king of the 80s
Yes.
B-movies, and it delivers
Yes.
the tacky goods by the truckload.
Yeah, Joe Blow, you got me. You got me. Right in there.
The film received 2 nominations at the 16th Saturn Awards for Best Music from John Massari, 100% agree,
Told you.
and Best Costume Design for Darcy F. Olson.
Hell yeah. I'm right in the feels.
So before I kind of go into the legacy aspect of it, Kevin, what do you want to say about the rewatchability, sequels, legacy, all that jazz?
I told you, I am the wrong. I've already watched this more than most people watch one movie in a lifetime when I was like 10. Okay, so this movie is so entertaining on a silly, fun level, even though it's dark themed and toned and wants to show murder and all that. It's I don't want to say it puts murder in a light or anything like that. Like, oh, it's okay to murder. No, it doesn't do that. But what it's showing you is this element of circusry that if people that were afraid of clowns, I don't know if I'd recommend watching this because
absolutely not.
You might start hitting some of your fears. But it like clowns traditionally, like even referring back to the days of jesters, have always supposed to have been this silly, almost sometimes sad element of life. But this is what it is, but if it took the even darker, more severe tone and adds the murder element in it, but being able to see, the goofy side of it, it's almost like mime work too because of the lack of talking. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna knock your block off, and it hits his literal head off. Like this is so. Joe Blow, you got me. It's so 80s. I love it. It's so 80s.
So. We talked obviously a couple times about the video games that came out. The video game that came out in 2024, which, like I said, as the clowns are walking, you have the squeaking of the clown feet, which I thought was hilarious, and you have to basically capture humans. I thought it was actually very interesting.
It's actually a 7-on-3, and there's not a lot of games that are anything like that.
Crazy. Some other things I don't know if you were aware of, Kevin. They did come out with some basically highly collectible figurines in an action figures line. Don't know if you heard about that.
I think I know about that.
There was also clowns along with the ice cream truck that was featured in outer space themed scare zone at Universal Orlando's Halloween Horror Nights. And because that became so popular, it became a full-fledged haunted house attraction.
I did not know
in
that.
2019 in Orlando and Hollywood, which I thought was really cool. Which they also had exclusive merchandise that would be sold during that as well, too. Also, since 2021, Spirit Halloween has a dedicated section dedicated to the movie with costumes, statues, props, doormats, signage, animatronic characters.
It's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time.
So, yeah, I mean, this is a cult classic for a reason. They wouldn't be re-releasing all this stuff years later if it didn't have a following, for sure.
I think so. This is so weird. I was talking with my daughter Emily and my wife Heather, and we were talking about the So you remember it was 2016 when the clowns were coming back. There was it was a global event. There was it was like a clown thing, and I thought it was just a local thing that I saw in the news in our area. But no, apparently it was a 2016 clown sightings was a global thing, and it wasn't just here. And I was like, whoa. And it was, I think, right before, not that year, but I think the next year, the movie It, the resurfacing of that came out. I don't know if something came out. I think this missed it because it doesn't have the notoriety of a second movie or something like coming out of that. But don't be surprised if this ends up having a sequel, or there's been talk about remakes and things like that. You could see something weird like that happen if they time it right. You do this movie right like October 27th or something like that. You're telling me you ain't going to have a spike in clowns and all that? I think you do, because I think the goal would be to make this darker. I don't think making it darker, but not necessarily removing the silliness of it. So they would, I think, change their direction. That would be a guess. And I think you could still hit both, even making it darker, but don't be surprised, because when it came out, man, that was a thing. People, like, you know, the clowns, that's a thing for people. Like, some people really hate them and some people really love them. I'm neither, but the legacy is there. I think there's an avenue for it. Maybe it's not as big as it was. I think clowns in general, like, literally people used to hire clowns for birthdays, right? Like, that was a thing. I think Gacy, there's history to Gacy kind of being a proponent to giving clowns a bad name, like, legit. Like, because he was, I don't remember his clown name, but he obviously murdered people, and ever since then, it was an inspiration to a lot of people that utilize this clown and horror concepts. I would by far not be surprised that there's an influence there. Anything clown horror is going to have roots in Gacy, I think, at this point going forward, because he was a known entity to utilize that. So I think the longevity of this, it might never grow to a huge extent like it has. Literally, the remake of it, you know, not to get too far off.
What, 2 or 3 sequels now?
They've got the 2. I don't, but they also have the prequel TV show. Oh, so I have seen them, and they are interesting. Like, I've gone down a little bit of a rabbit hole following the story and creation of the alien, if you will. But as far as this goes, I would love to see more. I would hope they keep it slapstick and silly, even if they made it darker, because I think the silliness of the clown element is here, whereas in it's not the same. That clown element is really a superficial clown element. If you watched the show, which I did, I don't want to do any spoilers, but it does talk about that, of why and how that happened. But in this, it's literally clowns. It's a literal circus. It's everything there. I think you could literally almost make it to where you could have a sequel with, like, almost performers as a circus does. Maybe even have some weird alien animals or something like that. Like, you could. There's definitely some rooms to expand on some silliness nature of this, but also keeping it dark and horror. So I think a legacy is there. It's just whether or not it's going to grow or not. I don't know. The Chiodo brothers, I do believe they're brothers.
They are. There's 3 of them, actually.
I thought there was 2. I didn't know. But they are kind of the main proponent of it. And I hope by any means, if they aren't the driving force, they can at least, for future generations do that. Because I think there's... I think this is a timeless one. You know, it's the cult classic for a reason. A lot of those are timeless. So
yeah, and by the way, Kevin, John Wayne Gacy's had 2 clown personas. The first was Pogo the Clown, and his secondary one was Patches. And I don't
remember Patches. I remember Pogo.
And and circling back to that clown craze from 2016, I barely remember that, but actually reading here a little bit, it was actually an appearance of Gags the Clown in Green Bay, Wisconsin, which was later revealed to be a marketing stunt for an independent film, which, to me, that is just genius thinking for us to do that for marketing, which, again, probably helped with the spawn of the
So where we live, I do believe there was. I heard rumored that there was somebody walking down the like main road through our town that people were dressing up as clowns. It was around the city. It was everywhere. Like, people were utilizing it to the point that, of course, because people will people, they started filming themselves interacting with people. A lot of people went around, and then you get stupid, go to the hood, and guess what? People are shooting at clowns because they're fucking stupid and trying to film that. Like.
Well, I'm actually reading this account. There was incident involving clowns lurking near woods, chasing people standing near street corners. There was even notes that McDonald's temporarily limited public appearances of Ronald McDonald.
It was a real thing. So
that's wild.
Now, obviously, this isn't directly tying to Killer Klowns from outer space, but it's the clown overall. The clown concept ain't going away. It is here for good. Once something's established in our society, it will always be there. Now, it may lose interest over the years, but then you get something like It comes out, which I do believe came out the year after this. And I think because of the rumblings, because of independent people trying to get their way into the genre, like you get these spikes that are going to randomly happen within interest and intrigue. And so, yeah, you time it right around Halloween. If you get out early October, end of September, that thing will carry on and freaking sell itself, because people are going to do people things. They want to, they want the likes and all this, the heart emojis and everything these days. And that's what it is. So I think Killer Klowns does have a real shot at becoming a lot bigger of a legacy. I'm okay if it doesn't, because this movie is just that big in my heart. I've always wanted one of those masks. Always wanted one of those masks. Always.
So I don't even know if we're still on visual or emotional connection. It kind of bleeded into our summary a little bit.
It's all the same. I mean, at this point, I mean, go ahead, chime in some more.
So yeah, I say wrapping up as far as emotional connection, rewatchability, legacy. I mean, we already know Kevin's answer. I'm definitely going thumbs up on this.
I'd have 3 thumbs up if I could. You know what I mean? Like, that's where I'd be. Like,
and again, I think going over into the overall rating and summary, alien clowns traveling in a UFO circuit tent necessarily wasn't 100% believable, but even if you take that out of it, capturing humans on the essence to survive, the special effects, the casting, the music was all on point. So again, basing all of that, I would definitely go back and rewatch it again. And again, if you have any inspiration for clowns, that's why it's associated with horror films all the time. So, and haunted houses.
You don't have to have an expectation. Is this going to have clowns in it? Other than that, what more expectation do you need? You just go in and you watch it, and I guess the other expectation is, if you want primo plot lines and primo acting, you're not going to get it. It's an 80s movie. You didn't have a ton of them back then. And, a lot of the 80s and, especially some of those 90s movies, you were looking for one-liners. That's where it was. And that's, I guess, in my heart, it still really is, to get a great one-liner in. But it was just, the content was it was oozing content with how they did it. And they did such a good job. So, I told you, I'm the worst person to be talking about this one, because I am so biased. I love this movie so much.
Yeah, so overall rating, I would definitely give it 2 thumbs up. Definitely would watch it again for sure. Unless you're scared of clowns. That would
if you don't like clowns, I don't know if I recommend this one. But outside of that, if you just want something, where you don't have to worry about a plot, you just be entertained for entertainment's sake, I think you could watch this. Maybe not kids, because the kids nowadays can't do anything with a goddamn phone in their hand. They're always doing something like that. But most people that can do that without, you'll like it.
All right, you ready to close us out?
Let's close this out. So thanks again for listening. Any sort of support, with just comments, likes, ideas, whatever, we'll get into. Unless it's Sharknado. No, thank you.
Oh my God. I'll just say what Officer Mooney said. Look at this son of a bitch. On that note, you can support these nerds here by following us on our social media channels, Louchen Bro Podcast. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts on Tuesdays. You can watch our ugly faces on YouTube on Thursdays.
Yeah. What in darnations is going on here? All right, thanks, everybody.
See you later. Bye.